Hey guys that's joining in. Just a reminder, we're going on just 33 of y'all in here. Dang,
yes,
what y'all doing?
Right.
It's 6 o'clock. Y'all at work? Where y'all at? But yeah, go to godismyceotour.com to get your tickets. I sent you a DM about my testimony. It's on my phone. Instagram is on my phone, so I can look on my phone, but it's on my iPad. I'm not logged into the Wi-Fi. Crown me says she on lunch. Oh, okay.
Oh, you got your ticket? Yes. Y'all, it's going to be
lit.
If you waiting, I don't know what you waiting on, because
get your tickets.
It's going to be amazing.
Mm-hmm. I can't see y'all. So I'm going like this. It's not because I'm being shady. I cannot see.
Where to start on what God wants you to do and what's your business coach info.
Okay. So let me answer the question. I think it was only one person that submitted it on here, and then we can do
that right there.
Yeah, girl, that's lit, right? Oh no, that's not even the right questions. Oh, so I put up two things. I put up the first one was questions, but I put up one like caption this, and it was a picture of me looking at you like looking at you crazy.
Wait, so how you change it?
I can, but I remember the question though.
Okay.
So the question that we got, she was pretty much like, what do you do when there are non-believers speaking negativity into your business?
Girl, you don't listen to what they say. No, for real though. Like, first of all, you're a believer and they're a non-believer. Y'all are not equally yoked. They can't see what you see. God didn't give them your vision. So, I mean, honestly, I wouldn't even entertain it. I mean, thank you for your opinion, but you have to be, when it comes to that type of stuff, you got to know what you know what God told you, and keep track on that. It's going to be a lot of people that have things to say, to be honest, and you have to test what everyone says. You have to test what everyone, any type of advice that people give you. But if it's a non-believer, I mean, we can't even relate. So,
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm very like particular about who I let anywhere. Like even when you have like a newborn baby, you don't let everybody touch your baby. You can't let everybody hold your baby, kiss your baby. So I'm like that with everything that I do, especially now, because I know I'm doing the things that God wants me to do. So I don't even allow people in. But sometimes you do have like family or friends who are just in your life who may be asking questions and maybe like, oh, you don't want to do that. I just let it brush off my shoulder. I try not to be super sensitive. I just let it brush off my shoulder and just let them say what they have to say. Because sometimes people, I say this before and we said it earlier, that signs and wonders aren't for believers, they're for non-believers. So I don't even really get too mad, because at the end of the day, what God is going to do through you and through your business is going to make them believe anyway. So it's kind of one of those things where you can just let them be who they are, let them have their negative opinion or whatever, but to continue to press on. Now, if you're at the point where you're a little bit vulnerable right now, because that's a thing too, when God is having you create something, most of the time you're not qualified to do it. So there's a state of vulnerability and feeling unqualified. So hearing that type of negativity, whether it be from an unbeliever or anybody, can get to you. So then you have to put those controls in place to where people aren't able to get to you in that way. So whether that means blocking some folk, not hanging out with some people, not going to family events, whatever it is you got to do, you got to protect what God has put on the inside of you until you feel like you're at the point where, until you feel like you're at the point where you can let it brush off your shoulder easily. So you got to know yourself and do whatever it is that you need to do to protect this baby that you have. And don't take it personally. People gonna be people. People gonna talk about you whether you're doing good or bad. People will applaud you and curse you out in the same sentence. So even if it's not even just about negativity all the time, don't even take the positive things people say to heart too much. God's validation is the only validation you need, and His opinion is the only one that you need. Period. Okay, we had a question. I think it was one before that. Can you describe your journey to pursuing purpose?
So I always say that purpose is a lifetime experience. It's not a one-stop shop. But for me, and we were talking about this earlier, you guys will see, I didn't really know what my purpose was. I went to school to be a dentist. I thought that my major was biology. I wanted to be
you to be in people's mouth.
Yes, and then I thought about that, and I was like, I don't want to be in nobody's mouth. Exactly.
That's like doing feet.
Right.
With a foot
No, for real.
I'd be like that.
I don't know how I thought I was going to do that. I think I was thinking about the money because I have an aunt who's an orthodontist, honestly.
That's usually how I go.
Right. So, and I was looking at all of my friends around me who could do things like do hair, makeup, you know, good in sports, and I was looking at that to validate my own. So I had to really get quiet with myself, and I was telling Tatum, you know, I grew up in church and knowing that everyone has a purpose, everyone has gifts, and I wanted to know my own, and that was only achieved by spending time with the person who gave me those things. You know, I had to get in God's face. I was journaling a lot, and through that, he revealed that my words were therapeutic and powerful. So you have to start with God. You have to start with your creator, the person who gives those things to you. So, and then everything reveals as time goes on. There's going to be many different aspects of purpose that, you know, we have. Like, even myself and Tatum, there's things that we don't know yet that, you know, we're probably going to encounter along the way. So I think you have to be patient with that, and be consistent in seeking it and knowing that he will reveal.
Yeah, and I think we have to kind of take our focus off of everybody's like, what's your purpose? We got purpose coaches. How can you coach me on something that God is going to give, that God created? You don't know. You only know what I tell you. But so nevertheless, we focus so much on the big purpose or the big picture of what my purpose is, when we just need to do what God told us to do. You know, you may be saying, God, send me my purpose, and he may say, start waking up on time, or, you know, you don't know. He'll give you a step. You may ask for a table, he'll give you the wood, and you got to continuously seek him on the next step. Yeah. So I think we have to practice taking our focus out on what's my purpose, because your purpose is going to unfold. If he told you the big picture right now, you will really be scared. You were really not doing it. If God told me what I was doing right now, what I was going to be doing right now, years ago, or 2014 when I first got into entrepreneurship, I'd have been like, I'm good, love and joy. Right. Let me just find like a little job that I can deal with. Maybe I'll telework so I feel like I'm at home. Like, what? I would not have been. I'd be like, no, absolutely not.
Right.
So because I know that if he was to tell me bigger what he has for me even now, I'd be like, I don't know if I want that either. You know what I mean? I always wanted to be rich and minding my business. Like, I always knew I would be wealthy and successful in whatever I did. But when I decided to get in alignment with what God wants me to do, I didn't realize how scary that was going to be, and how much I would really have to die to myself, and how much I really wasn't ready for what I said I wanted.
Right.
So you really just have to say, God, what do you want from me? That's it. Instead of what's my purpose? God, what do you want me to do?
What do you want?
What do you want from me? What are the things that you need me to work on right now? And then as you begin to be obedient, as you say yes to God in the little things, then the big things will start to unfold. I always say, even when it came to my podcast, when it was called Blessed and Bossed Up, literally a couple months after we launched, we was not even out that long, God began to tell me what to do, give me instructions that I didn't ask for, but give me instructions, and was like, do the show by yourself. I was like, excuse me? He was like, do the show by yourself. And I didn't want to do it because my insecurities was telling me that nobody wanted to listen to me talk for an hour. Like, who am I to be talking for people? I didn't know it was going to be about God at this point. We still talking about just the journey of business. Yeah. So he didn't give me context. He gave me instruction. So he said, do the show by yourself. And I procrastinated. I got all the confirmation in the world, and I continued to procrastinate it. Then eventually I sat my co-host down and I said, hey, we can't do the show together anymore. She asked why. I really ain't know why. I was just like, you know, I just don't think we need to do this. I didn't say, God told me to do the show by myself, because I never want to taint anybody else's perception of God. Like, I don't want nobody else to be like, God told her to cut me off or to stop doing the show with me. Like, why would God tell her that? Or God ain't tell her. It could go to so much. So I'm like, I'm going to be a big girl. We can't do that. And just be honest. And so after that, God was like, now you got to change the name. Change the name. And I got this revelation this weekend when I was in Miami, where Raven, I know she won't mind me sharing the story. She was a little frustrated because there was a lot of people who weren't able to make the event because of the flight stuff. So y'all know they like ground in flights and stuff like that. So there are a lot of people whose flight stuff got switched up who couldn't come, and she was frustrated a little bit. And so the retreat used to be called the Pink Slip Retreat. And this year it was called the Pink Slip Experience. And I told her, like, look, when God changes the name of something, it's for a reason. When in the Bible, whenever they name something, it was whatever it was. So let's say it was a snowstorm on this couch. They will name this couch Snowstorm Couch. Like, whatever it is, that he names things. When Adam left his family, God told him to leave and he left his family. His name was Abram. It wasn't until he was obedient to God, God changed his name to Abraham, made that covenant with him. Sarai, his wife, Sarah, y'all know her as Sarah, but Sarah's name was Sarai at first. She wanted to have a baby. She wanted nothing more than to have a baby. So much so, she wasn't getting pregnant or nothing. So much so, she let her husband sleep with the servant just so they could have a kid. Then got mad at the servant, like, sis, you let her sleep with him and you mad at her. Like, the Bible got drama.
It got drama.
So I thought I was reading Love and Hip Hop, like, sis. But then when God changed her name from Sarai to Sarah, she got pregnant. She had Isaac. So in the Bible, there's just so many different examples about the magnitude of what happens when God changes somebody's name or names something. So I was telling her at the event, like, he didn't change this name for any reason. He called it an experience. So that means he wants people to have an encounter, an experience with God. So count it all joy. Don't be upset because, people may not be able to come. We don't know what they're being protected from, and you don't know what the people in this room are being protected from. That's so true. Whatever. But, it's so important that we just focus on whatever it is I was talking about. I really forgot. And then she said, what's your business coach info? Her name is Raven Jones, Raevyn Jones on Instagram. But if you're still trying to figure out what you're trying to do, I don't suggest you hire a business coach at all. Because she can only build on what you know.
Yeah.
And those glasses are kids. Are they prescription?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad y'all on here. Y'all got any recommendations on where to find good music for an intro when starting a podcast? The struggle is real. There's a guy, I don't know his info by heart. I found mine online. I don't know the guy's info by heart. I'm gonna find it. Send me because I'm getting off Instagram after this. Dang, I don't know.
Email?
Yeah, send me an email at tatum@tatumtamia.com and I'll send you his information. Because I cannot think of his name at all. And your girl's not about to be on IG for a little bit. How were the last few hours of launching Blessed and Bossed Up? Were you nervous? Were you fasting? Was the tone of Christ's direction towards you in the mission, etc.? How were the last few hours? Let me see if she clarified that.
Like launching the podcast?
I don't know what you mean by last few hours. Do you mean like last few years, months? Let me know so I know how to answer it. In the same way, guys. I'm pursuing an accounting degree. Can't read. I'm pursuing an accounting degree, but I recently come to the revelation that it's not what God has for me long term. I'm a bit confused on what to do since I'm almost done with school. I graduate in December. Graduate? I would graduate because all things work out for your good. Like, you went to school for a reason. Even though it's not what you have long term, that doesn't mean that degree or education is not going to be useful for you.
Yeah, and what doesn't make sense now always makes sense later. So, yeah. And
you ain't spend all this time and money to not finish. So go ahead and finish this. And no matter what you do, you're going to need to know some numbers.
Yeah.
Okay? Almost did that. Wow. I don't even remember what. My memory is trash.
Girl, you and me both.
I'm like, what? I don't even remember where I was going with that. What if you have a path that was created for you, family business? You've been there. However, you recently began to feel like there's something else for you. Get before God.
Yeah. Fasting, praying.
Fasting and praying. Fasting and praying. Fasting and praying. You said it's a family business, so your folks did right. by leaving you something. You know, I pray like my kids and my children's children will have something that I created for them. But if God has something else, my job was to leave it to them. So if God has something else for them, I know I wouldn't mind if they did whatever God told them to do. My job was to just leave them an inheritance. So if I were you, I would really not let the pull or the pressure of the family that wants me to continue with the family business take away from God's plan, because then you're being disobedient. And your number one priority is to please God, not people, not your family, not anybody, not yourself. Your number one goal in life is to please God. So if I were you, I would really fast, pray, maybe take some days off from the family business and really get before God to figure out what is it that he wants me to do.
Yeah, and that answers that, because she said they feel like she's being selfish and ungrateful.
Oh, for real. You're not being selfish or ungrateful whenever you're trying to do what God wants you to do. Right. And anybody that makes you feel that way, distance yourself. Because it is a vulnerable space when you're doing something new. You're stepping out on faith. You're doing something that's going against what you may have otherwise done. So it is just this funny little spot to be in, but you have to press through that.
Right. And it's unfortunate that, you know, it's family, because, you know, those things, they can get ugly.
Tricky,
you know what I'm saying? Ugly and tricky. So, but you know what God is pressing in, you know, into you. So I would definitely go into prayer and fasting about that.
Mm-hmm. How did you manage to write your book while having a 9-to-5? I feel like God has wanted me to write a book.
Ooh, well, me. Yeah. Oh, I got a Charlie horse, y'all. Woo.
Oh, she got a Charlie horse, y'all. Do we need to lay hands?
It came out of nowhere.
Cast out the Charlie horse in the name of Jesus.
Yes. So for me, and I just did a whole class on this, how to write and publish your book. You should definitely check it out. The replay is available. I was working actually a 10:30 to 7 shift when I wrote my book. And yes, with a 45-minute commute. It was terrible. But because I knew that God was calling me to write this book, I had the confirmation. I made it a thing after work every day, get in the shower and write. I had fortunately the opportunity to write at work. Majority of my book was written in a journal at work because I was in training, and I was just so tuned out that I was just writing while I had the opportunity to write at work, and I would come home and write. The hardest part is writing the book. You know what I'm saying? That's the bulk of it, is writing it. So honestly, you just have to make the time, and you have to write. You have to schedule that in as if you would anything else, if that's something that God is pressing you to do. So you have to be obedient to that and figure out how you can write every day. You can make writing goals. Okay, how many words do I need to, write a day to get this done in 60 days or however long, God is saying when to come out with it. But the main thing is to make time for that. And I feel like that's where people fall short. And that's why it takes people years and years to write books, because, we're not being obedient and we're not being consistent in what we were told to do.
Yeah, anything you want to figure out how to manage, it's just about taking a look at your priorities, prioritizing, and then making it work. If you got to wake up a little bit earlier to get it done, then that's what you have to do. So if I were you, I would just look at everything I have on my plate, factor in all the time, including time to commute. Including like when I get home from work, I need about an hour to decompress, to get my mind off of things before I write this book. Whatever it is, just look at everything that you have and schedule accordingly. I know when I wrote my book, I was working for myself full time. I wasn't in a 9-to-5, but I still had other responsibilities. And even now, I'm writing my second book, and I still have other responsibilities. And this book is big. Like, this book is going to be way bigger than the book I already did. And so with that, God won't even tell me all the chapters. Like, he literally gave me the title first, which was like in December. Then he told me to start writing it at the earlier part of this year. And then when I got in before him, like, okay, well, what is the chapters? I got the title. I know it's time to start writing, but what are the chapters? He gave me introduction and the title of the first chapter. Say, finish them, and then I'll tell you what to do next. So I'm like, all right, bet. But when it comes to writing for me, I got to set aside time. Also, understand, it's good for you have to understand how long it takes you to do things, because that's going to help when scheduling.
Right.
I know that it doesn't take me long to write 1,000 words. Yeah. So if I just time, and what you can do is just time yourself. Just write and time yourself. And then let's say set it for like an hour and just write. After that hour is up on your timer, look to see how many words you have. So now you know I can write, let's say 5,000 words, whatever, in an hour. So now as I'm breaking up the time, or I'm breaking down the book and how I'm going to do it each day, I know that, okay, I'm going to set aside an hour 3 times a week. And I know that by the end of this week, I'm going to have 15,000 words. So it's a lot of things is a numbers game. Time is like a budget. It's like money. You get 24 hours in a day. Budget it accordingly. Figure out what you got to spend money on, spend time on, and you budget it accordingly. And don't try to don't try to rush yourself.
Right, yeah.
Like,
that's good too.
When it comes to this book, I'm glad he only gave me the first chapter because I'm not in a rush. He didn't tell me when this book needed to come out, so I'm not in a rush to get the book done. Also, based on the title, I know for a fact that it's some things that I got to get done before this book can even come out, because the title ain't true. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, the title is like, bro, what? So yeah, it's those are some things to really think about while you're doing it. And I know too, I don't like doing the same thing for a long period of time.
Yeah,
I get bored so fast.
Yeah.
So 1,000 words is all I'm really finna push out in a day. Yeah. Because I'm gonna get so tired of doing it, I'm going to start getting distracted. And then it's easy enough to where I know, all right, let me just push this out and then I can go move on to the next thing. So, yeah. We love listening to you talk for an hour. Well, thank you. He don't need Real Housewives. The Bible is enough. Listen here. If they made a movie of some of the stories in the Bibles, we'd be like,
oh my God, right.
Dang, this is what's going on. Right. We'd be like, oh, they was tripping. Not even like, I'm not even talking about like Passions of the Christ type stuff, but like,
no, like
just
real
the scandals
life, like,
of what was in there, and they had some actors just put acting stuff out. You'd be like, what is going on? It's going to be better than Love After Lockup.
Oh my God, you watch that too?
Yes, I love that show. That show is so ridiculous.
It really is, but it's like, I'm like, yo, what?
It is so good. And they so shady because they knew that man was dating both of them girls. And they had it set up, and it would be like him and then the 2 girls. And then it'll come up, okay, whatever his name was, and Megan. And then it'll go to like their little stuff. And then it'll come up be him and Sarah. And it'll go to, they was disrespectful.
Oh my God.
I would watch that back and call production like, for real?
Right.
This is what y'all was doing? Really? So y'all knew the whole time y'all was hanging out with all of us?
Right.
That this man was married to her and engaged to me? Are you serious? Trash.
And locked up.
At
that.
That is so funny.
Oh my goodness. Okay, I guess that was her clarifying.
Oh, okay. Right before you were starting the podcast, how was that moment? Well, I kind of talked about it. Like, God gave me little instructions that I had to say yes to. So I had to say yes to doing the podcast by myself before he told me to change the name. I had to say yes to changing the name before he gave me what the name was. I had to commit to, once he gave me the name, I had to commit to changing over the content and being okay, because my biggest reservations was, this podcast is doing well. Like, we're growing. We have a good audience. So you want me to change everything that's working? That didn't make sense to me. Yeah. And then not only did he want me to do it by myself, and that appealed to an insecurity of mine, of feeling like I needed somebody else on the show to kind of balance it out, because I didn't think that, I like to think below surface level. I like to break things down and get deep with stuff. And I didn't feel like people wanted to listen to that. So I always felt like I needed another co-host or something to kind of balance out what I brought to the table. And so yeah, when he was telling me to do it by myself and then to talk about God, I was like, why? I just didn't get it at all. And then, but he began to just show me how so many people are seeking success, and they're seeking these $1 million businesses or whatever, and they don't even realize that they're running on a hamster wheel, that they need me. If they made me the CEO of their business, if they tapped into me and the plan I had, because I saw them before, I knew them before I formed them in their mother's womb. If they tapped into that, that's the key to their success. They're doing it all wrong. So he wanted to use my platform. And then a lot of these people that God wants me to reach are not in church every Sunday. And if they are, they're not getting fed the way that they need to. They're not being taught how to build a real relationship. And I think a part of my gift is being able to articulate the journey. I'm not a huge emotional person. So no matter what I'm going through, I'm always really able to still become level-headed. I think it's just a blessing of mine. Even in like high stress situations, I'm able to stay very calm and mellow. And because of that, as I'm going through my journey, I'm able to articulate it and communicate it in a way that connects with people. So God wanted to use that and use me to communicate to people the journey. I can tell y'all, hey, this was great. All these blessings happened, and I can, and this is what I did. And I can also tell y'all March was trash, and I'm deleting a month off of all of my calendars, but God is still good, you know, and this is how I maneuver this month. And there's a lot that happened this month that I'll talk about when God releases me to. But this month, the way that things have been thrown at me, I learned a lot about myself and how strong I am. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I'm looking at myself like, yo, that's what's up. And I always say this, like, if you're a leader or you preach anything, there's always going to come a point in time where you got to be about what you say.
Right, exactly.
And you got to prove yourself. And so for me, I think I really proved myself as of late that I really am about what I say I am, because I've had to live it, you know.
Right.
But yeah, that moment before switching over to podcast was scary, but I had to do it, because once he told me the lives that were on the line, it's not about me. So I care way more about somebody else's life getting changed, or somebody's soul being won, somebody not having to spend eternity in hell because they came to Christ as a result of my show. I feel way stronger about that than I do about being scared or feeling unqualified. So it definitely was not easy, but I had to do it. And we were talking about this on the series we were recording. Like, I like to think about, what if I don't? Not what if people stop listening to the show? What if people don't want to hear about God? What if I don't? What would that mean for those souls? What would that mean for what God wants to do through me? Because through doing this podcast, so many things has broken off of me. I've changed and grown so much as a result of being obedient to God. What would that have meant for me, for my relationship, for my family? Like, what would that mean if I was not obedient to God? You know what I'm saying? So the time was not easy, but I had to get it done. We got to stop thinking of just because something is hard does not mean it's not of God. You know what I mean? And just because something is easy doesn't mean it is God. Like, we got to stop trying to put things in a box and really just commit to the process, commit to being obedient, and commit to spending time with him and hearing from him, so that we can be able to really build a meaningful relationship. I love your hair, Tatum. Thanks, girl. Yes, thank you. I'm not even working in the field that I went to school for. However, I do believe like God is preparing me for something great. Yeah,
I can totally relate.
My undergrad degree is in PR, and I'm about to have an MBA. MBAs don't teach you how to be entrepreneurs. They teach you how to be C-suite employees. So while that's not necessarily going to take my business, is what I'm doing right now, to the next level, but that level of organization and the things that I've learned there are going to be able to be applied, even with PR. A lot of the things I do, like, I see people on social media talking about everything. And I've been telling my friends, like, hey, be quiet. Like, everything does not require you to chime in on. Yeah. It's a hot topic every day. So you really finna spend every day talking on these hot topics? That just makes you look silly. That makes you look like you ain't got nothing to do. And I know you got stuff to do. So get off the internet and do the things that you have to do. So even from a PR perspective, that I apply that here all the time. And some things I do not talk about specifically, because I know that the perception of that can get twisted. I know that it can cause more harm than good. So just even that education, while I'm not anybody's publicist, that frame of mind helps me a lot with what I do, because PR is nothing but managing publicity and the public perception. So yeah. And she ain't a dentist, so. What are some examples of fasting? The idea of fasting is pretty much denying the flesh and feeding the spirit. That's the foundation of what it is. I fast from food 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. when I do it. I don't eat anything. I drink water. I do have liquids. If I have to do anything that day that requires brain power, I might drink like a smoothie that has like a bunch of things in it that'll give my body what it needs to get done what I have to get done. But I fast from food. I pray. I spend a lot of time in prayer. Spend a lot of time reading my Bible. I spend a lot of time seeking God over specific things. When I fast and pray, it's specific. Yeah. There's specific things that I'm looking for God to break off of me, or certain. So I spend a lot of time, like social media. Some people fast from like TV or whatever, music, whatever. But I'm the type where I'm not playing no games. Like if I'm fasting, I'm going for the thing that is going to be the most important, which is food.
Right.
Like getting on social media may be hard, but it's really not that hard once you get used to it. So yeah, that's an example of how I do it. What about you?
Pretty much the same, and I've grown, fasting for me, I've grown so much with that, because in the past, like, I'm gonna keep it a bean with y'all, like, it was
not
really,
a bean. It was,
bean. Oh, that's Jersey talk, I guess. That's like, that's keeping it 100.
Oh, okay. That's like a bean.
That's Jersey talk. I would keep it a bean with y'all, okay? It was really difficult, like, I like to eat, but I was thinking of it obviously in the wrong way. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't thinking of what I could get from it spiritually. So today, that's basically what I do, you know, start from food, whatever time I feel like, you know, is on my spirit, whether it's, you know, not eating until after 3 or whatever the case may be. But I think that's the best way to do it, food, to be honest. And you have to, we were talking about this, like if you're not spending time with God though, like you're just starving yourself and it's pointless. So make sure that you're being intentional when you fast and truly seeking God for what you need.
Mm-hmm. And trust me, I'm not eating all day for it to be pointless. Okay. Not eating all day.
Right.
If I'm going to be up in here starving all day, me and God got to talk.
We got to talk.
Like, I'm not playing out here starving just because. I'm currently building an app. How much content should I start off with? I have 100 ideas, but no help and no funds to hire.
Oh, wow. Well, Well, I mean, I would ask, what type of app is it? You know what I'm saying? You have 100 ideas. That's a lot, sis. So,
what's
you know,
the purpose?
Right, exactly. What is the purpose of this app? You need to figure out, you know, what exactly God is asking you to do with this. How much content should you start? Like, that all depends on what type of app you're building, to be honest. So I think you need to get clear on why are you doing this? What does God want you to do with this platform of this app?
And we talked about this earlier about counting the costs, how that's a biblical thing. So figure out how much is it going to cost me to do this app and find the money. You know, money is so easy to get. If you got a car, you could drive Lyft or Uber. If you got stuff in your house, you could sell it online. You can literally go to the dollar store and buy something and sell it on eBay for $2 more and then keep the profit and save the money over time. Like if you got to cut your grocery budget, figure it out, you know, but money is so easy to get that it's never an excuse that you don't have it. When I was hiring a business coach, I did not have the money readily available to pay her every month, but I figured it out. Like I got a little part-time gig. I did whatever I had to do because I was willing to sacrifice whatever needed to be sacrificed to complete the things that I wanted to be completed. And I'm actually building an app right now. And as I'm planning it out, I started with what's the purpose? Right. You know, looking at everything I have going on, the things that, like I have the podcast, I have my book, my journal, and it's a devotional coming out, all these things. I wanted to show people the blessed and bossed up lifestyle, which is more than faith and business. And so that's the purpose. So I got recipes in there and everything. But as I'm preparing, as I'm cooking different stuff, I'm like, okay, this is really good. I think people are going to like this. Or let me make this dish a couple more times so I can perfect the measurements or whatever. Let me make sure I got it together so I can take pictures so the app can be nice. But just figure out what the purpose is, what is the cost to get it done, and then get it done.
Right.
Oh, I love this haircut.
Y'all, it's popping in person too.
Thanks, y'all. Okay. You know. Bald head, scallywag. Ain't got no hair in the bag.
Yes, you can. It'll be
She's talking about the master class, y'all. Where is it?
She was.
Did you get a literary agent? No, because society where you can really be direct to consumer, and I'm not a fan of giving nobody no percentage of nothing without. I'm not a stranger to hard work. I don't care if I got to work a little bit harder. Over time, I'm going to collect more money. Right, and God already told me people are going to approach me to try to be an agent or to give me a publishing deal, and don't take it. And you think I don't care how much money you throwing at me. God said don't take it. I'm not taking it. And and especially if you haven't proven yourself to be a best-selling author or whatever, if you haven't, or if you're not a celebrity, if you haven't proven yourself to be able to get have a lot of influence over a large amount of people, they're not going to give you a book deal that makes sense anyway. And if you are, you might as well put it out yourself anyway, because you keep more money. Unless celebrities, you may not have the time to really write it, so somebody else or the agent finds you a publisher. Have somebody that pretty much writes the whole book. I get that for them, but and building our following and sell to them. And then as you grow and more people find out about you, guess what they're going to do? They're going to find all your old, and they'll keep spending money on you, and you'll keep keeping the money. So unless somebody is really bringing you something that's worth what they're taking, because I do believe that 100% of zero, or what is it? What's the phrase? I forgot. But I do believe in having giving up percentage if that's going to make you a significant amount more. I'd rather have 80% of a $1 billion company than 100% that level. You money for nothing.